It took me 2 days, but I did finish Stranger Things Tales from 85. Now, I didn't go and see the first 2 episodes in theaters. I know they had theatrical releases, which surprised me, to say the least, but I decided to wait till it dropped on Netflix. I wasn't really that eager to go and see the first 2, especially when it's just the first 2. But these episodes actually have decent run times. They run for about, I'd say on average, like the best episodes for length, that is 30 minutes. Some are like, 20 to 25, like average TV show episode lengths when you have the commercial breaks to make up half an hour. This show is heavily, and I mean heavily, just focused on the kids and their dynamics. Mike, Lucas, Will, Dustin, Max, and Eleven. Now, I really like to see that. I think character moments is the best part about this show. I have a lot of pros and cons. I will start with the pros. I like seeing a lot of Lucas and Max. I think they're handled pretty well in this show. Like, they're depicted very nicely. There's some things that just feel like vintage of them. Same with Eleven. There are some conflicts that I actually think are kind of nice in this show. Will has some interesting moments. Dustin has some interesting moments, but I feel like we're still just lacking seeing some of those personal dynamics. And yes, I know it's really hard to canonize this show, which I think is the big problem here. If this show just came out and said that this technically takes place in between the events of season 2 and 3, but they're taking place as campaigns, not real life, the characters are not going through this. Like, there's too much craziness that goes on in this show. It can't possibly be canon because it would have been brought up in season 3 or the seasons prior. It just doesn't fit into the timeline. Obviously, it wouldn't be any different if we didn't have Stranger Things after 2 seasons of the show, but we do. This is taking place in between those 2 seasons. I think it starts in January 10th of 1985, which is like about a couple weeks after the epilogue of season 2, and also I want to say like 5 months before the events of season 3. So we're still in a winter time period. I did like the winter setting. Seeing the snow down in Hawkins is really nice because we don't really get a lot of that in the show. There's not really a season that takes place in the winter time. We just have the epilogues of season 1 and 2, which take place around the winter time, i.e. December. I really do like some of the character returns that we also got throughout the show. You have Callahan and Powell who make a cameo in an episode. Keith makes a cameo, of course, the nerd guy at the arcade from, I want to say, seasons 2 and 3. Then he worked at Family Video. There's some other ones too. The kid from season 2 is actually there. The kid that was I think a family member of Eugene McCorkle, who is also in this show. It's cool that they have some references like that and some connect the dots. The kid was really nice to see. I'll put pictures so you know who I'm talking about, of course. But there's some fun cameos, and then on the other side, the flip side, I said the show focuses on the kids. My word, does it, because you get a decent amount of Hopper, I'd say. Like, Hopper I think is fine, but in other ones, no Robin, which I can live with. Robin is the only one I can live with because she didn't enter the show until season 3. This still takes place before the events of season 3. Like, it's not the end of the world that she's not here to me. On the other side, though, Steve's in this show. He's barely in it. He's in like an episode or 2. That's it. But he does still get a couple of moments. Nancy, also barely in the show. She does get her own moment, though, a part of the Weekly Watcher episode, which is episode 5 of the show. And Jonathan pretty much just makes a cameo in the beginning and just does not get seen again. And Joyce, oh my goodness, Joyce isn't even in the show. We don't even know what she looks like in this art style. I find that so bewildering. Like, I understand focusing on the kids. I like the decision to focus on the kids. But number one, I just don't like how much they just ignored the likes of Joyce. And Jonathan just got a cameo. Like I said, Nancy and Steve, they have episodes where they have a decent amount of screen time, but still, they're just barely in this show. They don't really have that much relevance. And obviously, the big elephant in the room here is the new character, Nikki Baxter. I just don't like her inclusion at all. She's so unnecessary. She's so pointless. I feel like she ate up way too much screen time too. Like, she's just not interesting. Like, she's so shoehorned in here, and she's actually one of the worst things if you really wanted to try and canonize this show. I just feel like the show tried to water down all the characters. Now, granted, I know I'm talking very badly right now, but I actually still think, from what I watched, it is better than I thought it would be. It's just nothing perfect, and like I said, The show is better if you conceive it as D&D campaigns come to life. Just visualization, illustrations, imagination, whatever you want to say. If you try and canonize this show, it just shatters to a billion pieces. Like, it's just not canon. It's not canon. Maybe some of the smaller events, you know, canonize all you want, because there's no harm in doing so. Like I said, there's some really good character moments that I really like. Some that you actually don't really see in the show that much. We get one episode where Will and Max go on their little venture. Like, it's nice, because we didn't really see any of that up until like the latter half of season 5. But then other ones, there's some things that it does call back to the show, which I appreciate. We see the arcade. We do see that Elle and Max are more acquaintances. They're in the friend group, but they're never really close, which is kind of cool, because obviously they don't get close until season 3, so they actually kind of kept that intact. But when you're doing a prequel show, you have to abide by the laws that's set forth in the main show. If you're trying to canonize it, but they haven't come out and said, oh, this isn't canon, I'm going to be upset if they just try and canonize this show, because it doesn't make sense. You're not abiding by the laws of your own universe, and it just frustrates me. It really does. But if I just think of it as its own thing, its own like non-canonization, but just fantasy events, I think it's fine. I even think Nikki's inclusion is fine if she's a made-up D&D character in their campaigns. But if she actually exists, then no, it is really bad. In my opinion, I don't like it. It's just really poorly done, and it feels like a weird step to take the Stranger Things franchise to me. I do like the art style. That's another thing. I actually really like the art style. I think it's a cool approach. It's a shame that none of the OG actors came back to voice their animated counterparts, but I don't know how often you see that anyway. But yeah, I mean, overall, I actually, despite all I said, I think I'd give Tales of 85, after I've like sat on it a little bit, like a high 6 out of 10. Like, I think at times it's watchable. Like, I do have some fun. There's some cool elements, but like I said, just don't try and canonize it, because I feel like that will just ruin the experience for you. That's my best advice. And that's just gonna wrap it up for my raw thoughts on Stranger Things Tales of 85. I actually wouldn't mind seeing a season 2, just because like I would like to see more Stranger Things content. Of course, there's still more to this future to open up, but maybe like actually focus more on like just the kids. Get Nikki out of here. Like, who asked for Nikki? Who asked for another member of this party? Like, it's just stupid. I do like a lot of the references though. Like I said, I'd be interested to see maybe a different take, like a Tales of 85 part 2, where it's like in between the events of season 3 and 4 or something. You can see the Byers in California, actually show Joyce this time. That'd be nice. And you know, you have a little bit more low grounded like life adventures. I feel like they're just trying to reheat a lot of season 2 stuff in this show and trying to tease season 3 a little bit, but it just doesn't work when you have something that just they would have mentioned a lot of this stuff from the show if it was actually canon in the universe. And it's cool in its own thing. It's nothing more than that. They did water down quite a few of the characters, but overall I do think the character moments still really lift this show more than what it would have been if they didn't have those character moments. But yeah, that's pretty much gonna wrap it up for my raw thoughts. Let me know, like, feel free to let me know what you thought of Tales of 85 down in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.